Pellam the king, who held and lost with Lot in that first war, and had his realm restored but rendered tributary, failed of late to send his tribute. Wherefore Arthur called his treasurer, one of many years, and spake, Go thou with him, and bring it to us, lest we should set one truer on his throne. Man's word is God in man. His baron said, We go, but hearken. There be two strange knights who sit near Camelot at a fountain side, a mile beneath the forest, challenging and overthrowing every knight who comes. Wilt thou I undertake them as we pass, and send them to thee? Arthur laughed upon him. Old friend, too old to be so young. Depart, delay not thou for aught, but let them sit, until they find a lustier than themselves. So these departed. Early one fair dawn the light-winged spirit of his youth returned on Arthur's heart. He armed himself and went. So, coming to the fountain-head, beheld Balin and Balan, sitting statue-like, brethren. To right and left the spring that down from underneath a plume of lady fern sang, and the sand danced at the bottom of it. And on the right of Balin, Balin's horse was fast beside an alder. On the left of Balan, Balan's near a poplar tree. Fair sirs, said Arthur, wherefore sit ye here? Balin and Balan answered, For the sake of glory. We be mightier men than all in Arthur's court. That also have we proved, for whatsoever knight against us came, or I or he have easily overthrown. I too, said Arthur, am of Arthur's hall, but rather proven in his Paynim wars than famous jousts. But see, or proven or not, whether me likewise ye can overthrow. And Arthur lightly smote the brethren down, and lightly so returned, and no man knew. Then Balin rose and Balan, and beside the carolling water set themselves again, and spake no word until the shadow turned, when from the fringe of coppice round them burst a spangled pursuivant, and crying, Sirs, rise, follow. Ye be sent for by the king. They followed. Whom, when Arthur seeing, asked, Tell me your names. Why sat ye by the well? Balin the stillness of a minute broke, saying, An unmelodious name to thee. Balin the savage. That addition thine. My brother and my better, this man here, Balan. I smote upon the naked skull a thrall of thine in open hall. My hand was gauntleted, half slew him, for I heard he had spoken evil of me. Thy just wrath sent me a 3 years' exile from thine eyes. I have not lived my life delightsomely, for I that did that violence to thy thrall had often wrought some fury on myself, saving for Balan. Those 3 kingless years have passed, were wormwood bitter to me. King, methought that if we sat beside the well, and hurled to ground what knight soever spurred against us, thou wouldst take me gladly aback, and make, as 10 times worthier to be thine than 20 Balins, Balan knight. I have said, not so, not all. A man of thine to-day abashed us both, and brake my boast. Thy will? Said Arthur, thou hast ever spoken truth. Thy too fierce manhood will not let thee lie. Rise, my true knight. As children learn, be thou wiser for falling. Walk with me, and move to music with thine honour and the king. Thy chair, a grief to all the brethren, stands vacant, but thou retake it, mine again. Thereafter, when Sir Balin entered hall, the lost one found was greeted as in heaven with joy that blazed itself in woodland wealth of leaf and gayest garlandage of flowers, along the walls and down the board. They sat, and cup clashed cup, They drank, and someone sang, sweet-voiced, a song of welcome. Whereupon their common shout in chorus mounting made those banners of 12 battles overhead stir, as they had stirred of old when Arthur's host proclaimed him victor, and the day was won. Then Balan, added to their order, lived a wealthier life than heretofore with these and Balin, till their embassage returned. Sir King, they brought report, we hardly found, so bushed about it is with gloom, the hall of him to whom he sent us. Pellam, once a Christless foe of thine, as ever dashed horse against horse. But seeing that thy realm hath prospered in the name of Christ, the king took, as in rival heat, to holy things, and finds himself descended from the Saint Arimathean Joseph, him who first brought the great faith to Britain overseas. He boasts his life as purer than thine own, eats scarce enow to keep his pulse a beat, hath pushed aside his faithful wife, nor lets or dame or damsel enter at his gates, lest he should be polluted. This grey king showed us a shrine wherein were wonders, yea, rich arks with priceless bones of martyrdom, thorns of the crown and shivers of the cross. And therewithal, for thus he told us, brought by holy Joseph thither that same spear wherewith the Roman pierced the side of Christ. He much amazed us. After, when we sought the tribute, answered, I have quite forgone all matters of this world. Garlon mine heir of him demanded, which this Garlon gave with much ado, railing at thine and thee. But when we left in those deep woods, we found a knight of thine spear-stricken from behind, dead, whom we buried. More than one of us cried out on Garlon, but a woodman there reported of some demon in the woods was once a man, who, driven by evil tongues from all his fellows, lived alone, and came to learn black magic, and to hate his kind with such a hate, that when he died his soul became a fiend, which, as the man in life was wounded by blind tongues he saw not whence, strikes from behind. This woodman showed the cave from which he sallies, and wherein he dwelt. We saw the hoof-print of a horse, no more. Then Arthur, let who goes before me, see he do not fall behind me. Foully slain and villainously, who will hunt for me this demon of the woods? Said Balan, I. So claimed the quest and rode away, but first embracing Balin, good my brother, hear. Let not thy moods prevail when I am gone who used to lay them. Hold them outer fiends who leap at thee to tear thee. Shake them aside, dreams ruling when wit sleeps. Yea, but to dream that any of these would wrong thee wrongs thyself. Witness their flowery welcome. Bound are they to speak no evil. Truly safe for fears, my fears for thee, so rich a fellowship would make me wholly blessed. Thou one of them, be one indeed. Consider them, and all their bearing in their common bond of love, no more of hatred than in heaven itself, no more of jealousy than in paradise. So Balan warned and went. Balin remained, who for but 3 brief moons had glanced away from being knighted till he smote the thrall, and faded from the presence into years of exile, now would strictlier set himself to learn what Arthur meant by courtesy, manhood, and knighthood, wherefore hovered round Lancelot. But when he marked his high sweet smile in passing, and a transitory word made knight or churl or child or damsel seem from being smiled at happier in themselves, sighed as a boy lame born beneath a height that glooms his veil, sighs to see the peak sun-flushed, or touch at night the northern star. For one from out his village lately climbed, and brought report of azure lands and fair, far seen to left and right, that he himself hath hardly scaled with help 100 feet up from the base. So Balin marvelled oft how far beyond him Lancelot seemed to move, groaned, and at times would mutter, "These be gifts born with the blood, not learnable, divine, beyond my reach. Well had I foughten, well in those fierce wars, struck hard, and had I crowned with my slain self the heaps of whom I slew, so better. But this worship of the Queen, that honour too wherein she holds him, this was the sunshine that hath given the manor growth, a name that branches all the rest, and strength against all odds, and what the king so prizes, overprizes, gentleness. Her likewise would I worship an I might. I never can be close with her as he that brought her hither. Shall I pray the king to let me bear some token of his queen whereon to gaze, remembering her, forget my heats and violences, live afresh? What if the queen disdain to grant it? Nay, being so stately gentle, would she make my darkness blackness? And with how sweet grace she greeted my return! Bold will I be, some goodly cognizance of Guinevere, in lieu of this rough beast upon my shield, langed jewels and toothed with grinning savagery.